Welcome to the Matadome. Ghazal Hassan Allen Zinsmeister back with you. CSUN basketball against Boise State. Allen, the first matter at hand, though, no Darius Brown today for the first time. He hasn't started a game for the first time since November 13th of 2018. The last time the Matadors took the floor without Darius Brown II was in February of 2018. Think about that.
You know, and it's just not his presence on the floor, but it's what he does as a leader. It's what he does as a teammate that makes sure that everybody is together. They're going to miss the qualities, the intangible qualities of Darius Brown II. Somebody on this court right now is going to have to pick it up and make sure that whatever Darius would have tried to do to get this team going, they're going to have to do the same.
Starters for Boise State, they're coached by Leon Rice in his 12th year. In the backcourt, Marcus Shaver Jr., the senior out of Phoenix, Arizona, transfer from the University of Portland. 6'6" junior Abu Kijab out of St. Catharines in Ontario by way of the University of Oregon. Tyson Dagon Hart, the freshman from Spokane, 6'7". Emmanuel Acott, 6'8", redshirt senior out of Manitoba by way of Arizona. And Mladen Armush. Armush is a redshirt senior from Belgrade, transfer from East Tennessee State. For the Matadors, it'll be Elijah Hardy starting at the point. He's the 6'2" senior out of Oakland, joined in the backcourt by Darius Bean, the senior from Carbondale, Illinois, and Brendan Herrick. Herrick, the redshirt junior from Anaheim. Up front for the Matadors, it'll be Christian Gray, 6'6", grad transfer out of Riverside, California, and Onyi Aisi, the transfer out of Fordham. And here's the back cut to Kijab. The pass out of the high post by Armush, laid up and in, and Boise State off to a good start, and they'll come out in the full court press, Allen.
And they're very good with this full court pressure. I mean, they want to turn the Matadors over. What they want to also try to do is make the Matadors spend a lot of clock before they can get into their sets.
All right, here's Hardy, squared up by Shaver. Boise State, we talked about it earlier, Allen. They're struggling offensively, but the defense has not let up. The defense still pretty good on the year as an errant pass gets picked off by Aisi. Aisi underneath against Dagon Hart, can't finish. The tip by Bean, no, and Kijab comes away with it for the Broncos. Right now, Allen, Boise State allowing other teams, opponents to shoot 42%. They're holding opponents to 60 points per game, and they've played some pretty good teams this year.
They played some excellent teams. Defense is something that Coach Rice has always preached, though, so I'm not surprised. Kijab, though, has a huge advantage on Herrick. He's just got the length. He's got the experience. So if Herrick is going to have to guard Kijab, that's going to be very tough.
Yeah, you remember when the Matadors went to Boise back in 2019, I think it was December 28 of 2019. It was Kijab's home debut for the Broncos. He went 33-11 against his good friend Lamine Janet. They had a little bit of a nice tete-a-tete in that one, a game that the Broncos won 103-72. Here's Acott, left of center. On the dribble, swings to Kijab. Acott against Hardy. Matadors look like they're out in the zone, AZ.
They are. They're going to have to switch up. They're going to have to go man, zone. They're going to have to do a lot of different things to try to fool this squad.
Mid-range from Shaver, nothing but twine on that one. Remember, the Matadors saw him when they went up to Portland a couple of years ago.
Yeah, he's a good player, and the Matadors right now are struggling on the defensive end because this squad, these Broncos, they aren't a great shooting team, but they've had an easy open 15-footer and a layup.
They came up with a win on Friday against Tulsa at home, and they hadn't played particularly well at home, Allen. So the Broncos, you know, maybe getting away from Boise and getting out of Southern California will help them get rolling a little bit.
I would agree.
Right wing Herrick for CSUN, 4 on the shot clock. Here's Bean, who had 10 against Fresno State. Misfires on the mid-range. Defensive rebound, Kijab for Boise State. Broncos picked to finish in the top 4. Mountain West, a pretty good conference this year. The fall away by Acott goes down, and a 6-0 run to start tonight by Boise State.
Yeah, Boise State, as I mentioned, they aren't that great of a shooting team, but they're getting good looks. They're running their offense, and if they're going to make shots, you know they're going to guard. It's going to be a long night for the Matadors.
You know, it's a bit of a surprise. They were a pretty good offensive team last year, averaging about 76 points a game, and they have 11 guys back. They really only lost Derek Alston Jr. was the only player they really lost off that squad. As the ball goes out of bounds, it'll go over to the Broncos, and the Matadors' offense looks a little bit out of sorts here in the early going, AZ, as we'll get our first look at Wright checks in. Wright, the 6'1 sophomore from Lakewood, and also Miles James. Miles James, the 6'6 senior transfer. He's out of Inglewood, California.
It's on the defensive end, though. The Matadors are they're going to have to get a stop. They've not had one stop. 3 possessions, 3 scores for the Broncos.
Yeah, Broncos 3 of 3 from the field, so starting off well offensively. Shaver tries the right side, and Kijab with the putback emphatically. Yes, sir, yes, sir. Timeout, Trent Johnson.
Well, you know, the Matadors started slowly against Fresno State. There was something about their body language, in my opinion, that said we're not quite ready to compete at the level that we need to. And Boise State saw that game, and they're saying, look, start fast, and these young guys, well, they're not young, but these guys might wilt.
Keep going.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were going to go to commercial break. But the Matadors right now, that's why Coach called timeout. An 8-0 run. Every time they've had the possession, the Broncos have been able to score. So Coach Johnson is probably questioning him, said, look, are you ready to play? If not, I'll just go on and empty the bench. And, you know, I'll let the guys who don't play very much, they can do the same thing that you're doing as starters.
Yeah, Coach Johnson, of course, he's a Bronco alum. He played at Boise State, and he's 8-1 against them as a coach on his career. So you know he wants to perform well against his alma mater, and he has a great amount of respect for Leon Rice and the job he's done in this program, Alan.
Yeah, but he probably had Stanford, maybe Nevada. There was a few, maybe a little bit better teams.
Nevada and LSU. That was it, Nevada and LSU. And there was a time when the Broncos were in the Big West. Here comes that pressure again. Atten Wright, let's see if they can get him going. Remember, he had the flu on Saturday night. Left side, Herrick, mid-range from the baseline. Kijab says, no, sir. And Abu Kijab, when he sees those Matador uniforms, he seems like he just kicks it into another gear.
Yeah, look at him. He's so relaxed and so comfortable.
Dagon Hart, the freshman, with the three from the top of the circle.
I don't know what the Matadors are going to do because they had a 16-0 run against Fresno State. Matador scored the first 2 points, and it was a 16-0 run. Now it's an 11-0 run.
Underneath, Aisi tries to take it up strong and is fouled. And the Broncos with an 11-0 run to begin play here on a Tuesday night. And the Matadors back-to-back games against the Mountain West, trying to kind of test themselves a little bit. And they'll get on a plane tomorrow night. They're going to head to North Dakota to take on North Dakota State.
Hey, they might already be on a plane right now because so far they've not really showed up on the court. And the first free throw of the game I normally wouldn't say is important, but this is an important free throw.
And Aisi swishes it through. And, you know, Onye has been playing very, very well. Comes in averaging 9 points a game in just under 20 minutes per game. Had 11 points against Fresno State and had 8 and 8 against San Diego in the win back on November 28th. Got to look at Onye Aisi, the senior from Lagos, Nigeria. Comes to the Matadors from Fordham. Remember, when he came to this country, he started off up in Northern California at Prolific Prep. Abu Kijab as well, so he makes them both. And the Matadors on the board. And our first look at Fidelis Okereke checks in, the freshman, or excuse me, the sophomore now, out of Carson King Drew High. Dagon Hart at the free throw line, back to Acott. Here's the three. Rattles the iron, no. Defensive rebound. Miles James for CSUN. 11-2 right pushing for the Matadors.
Matadors have to pick up the pace. I mean, even if they just attack, if they go away from their offense, just to do something so that the defense of the Broncos is not so comfortable.
Touch for Kalen Raines. Here's James to the bucket, lays it up and in.
That's what I'm talking about. Sometimes you want to run your offense, but other times what you got to do is just put your head down, go one-on-one and say, I'm going to beat you this time down.
So 4 straight points now for CSUN, 11-4 lead for Boise State. Little two-man game on the left side, Acott and Kijab. Kijab just faces up and he swishes it.
Wow, he missed the three-pointer, but that 16, 17-footer, nothing but net. Nice shot.
Kijab now with 6 points. He's 3 of 3 from the floor, so he's been incredibly efficient against the Matadors. His 33 points back in 2019, Alan, it came on just 16 shots. 13-4 Boise State leads right into the paint, working against Shaver. Resets with Kalen Raines. Here's Raines against Kijab to his right. The little hook short off the front rim. Armouche has it taken away by Atten Wright, though, as CSUN retains possession. Okereke, extra pass out to Miles James. Gives up the three. Hardy, scoop pass underneath. What a play by Kijab on the baseline.
Now, that time the Matadors overpassed. First shot was available, and they should have taken it.
13-4 Boise State out early. They ran out to an 11-0 lead here at the Matadome. Here's Dagon Hart in front, working against Miles James. Drops it down underneath. That's the layup for Shaver.
You know, what happens with Atten Wright, a lot of times he'll ball watch, and he gets beat on backdoor cuts a little bit too often. He'll have to make sure that he understands that if he overplays, they're going to backdoor you.
15-4 Boise State. So Those shooting struggles seem to be a long way away. Left wing three from Kalen Rains, nothing but net.
He shot that with confidence. It was an open shot, probably about as open as the Matadors are going to get against this wonderful defense of the Broncos.
Lead is 8 for Boise State. They have the ball. Kijab left side. Resets with Dagon Hart. Back to Kijab in front. Left corner, Marcus Shaver Jr., the transfer from Portland. 9 to shoot for the Broncos. Catch and shoot left wing from Shaver Jr.
He's a good three-point shooter. I mean, him knocking that down is not surprising. The Matadors actually played pretty decent defense, but a better shot.
Shaver shot nearly 40% last year. Coming in to this year from three-point range, he was 12 of 33, 36%, and his team is back on top by 11. Matching the largest lead of the game for Boise State. They were up 11-0. Matadors working it around the perimeter. Again, if you joined us late, Darius Brown not available after the injury against Fresno State. The first time the Matadors playing without Brown since February of 2018. 3 on the shot clock for the Matadors. Hardy into the lane, and there's the violation.
Yeah, that time Hardy didn't realize the shot clock was running down. His teammates were shouting it to him, but he didn't hear them.
We'll step aside and come right back. Matadors basketball on ESPN Plus in Learfield from Dignity Health. It's 18-7 in favor of Boise State. 13:06 to play in the first half. We're back.
At Dignity Health Northridge Hospital.
Welcome back to the Matadome. Ghazal Hassan Allen Zinsmeister back with you. 18-7 Broncos. They have the basketball.
Broncos shooting 80% from the field, Ghazal. They're feeling pretty good about this before that timeout.
Yeah, and they're only 7 shots from 2-point range, 3 shots from 3-point range. Max Rice checks into the ball game for the Broncos, as does Pavle Kuzmanovic. Here's Rice, coach's son. Bounce pass in front for Shaver. 10 to shoot for the Broncos. Rice shut off by James. Trying to get through the double team. 4 to shoot for the Broncos. Shaver lets fly. Bangs off the iron, tipped out and run down by Miles James. Okereke, I believe, got a hand on it for the Matadors.
And the Matadors right now have Adden Wright running the point, and so that's a very unique situation for him.
Now, he's been a point guard, though, at Lakewood and then also at Fairmont Prep, underneath. Fidelis Okereke gets the worst of Armouche, who punches it away from him.
Yeah, Armouche said, "You're a little too short, young man. You come in here with that little hook shot. I'm about 3 inches taller. I'm going to take that from you."
Armouche from Belgrade, of course, a great Serbian player out of Belgrade. We know very much in Southern California. Partisan Belgrade was the club team for Vlade Divac.
Oh, okay, so you know that he's got some folks watching overseas. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
Kuzmanovic, another Serbian on the floor, the 6'5" sophomore. And Boise State will trigger. This is our first look at Najee Smith. He's the senior out of Spokane, Washington. Kuzmanovic off to Shaver left side. Extra pass from Smith. They kick it back out to Rice. Kuzmanovic lets fly from 3, too strong. Bounds to the left side, run down by Rains for CSUN. Darius Bean back in, the 6'3" senior for the Matadors. Bean right on the floor with Kalen Rains, Miles James, and now Onyi Aisi back for CSUN, who trail 18-7.
Bean's going to have to attack Rice. Rice doesn't have the quickness that Bean has.
Drops it underneath for Aisi, strong to the basket. They're going to call it a goaltend. It went through anyway. On the way up, Najee Smith got a piece of it, and the Matadors with a bucket to make it 18-9. We'll step out with 11:31 to play in the first half. Matadors basketball on ESPN Plus and the CSUN Sports Network, presented to you by Dignity Health, Northridge Hospital Medical Center. We're back. Alan and Ghazal back with you on the audio side. 11:31 to play in the first half. 18-9. Broncos lead the Matadors. 9-point lead. Seems like it's a lot more, AZ.
It seems like it's a lot more, but the Matadors now are getting a little better defensively. They've waken up.
Broncos basketball. Matadors now employing the press. Shaver handling in front for Boise State. Matadors 1-2-2, it looks like. Tulsa had success with this on Friday night against the Broncos.
Yeah, but Tulsa's a little bit longer, so they pose a greater threat when it's coming out to contest the three-point shot.
8 to shoot for the Broncos. Left corner, Kuzmanovic underneath for Shaver. 2 to shoot. Right of center, 3 from Max Rice. Cradles the iron, in and out. Aisi claims the defensive rebound for CSUN. Attenwright AZ was a big-time scorer in high school, and they're going to need him to kind of pour on a little bit, particularly without the presence of Darius Brown to be able to get shots for his teammates. Nice drop-off there by Raines to Aisi. On the left side, it pops out. Defensive rebound, Dagon Hart for Boise State.
Yeah, that was a nice play run by the Matadors, though. Very nice play run, and unfortunately for Aisi, he was not able to knock down that little hook shot.
So it looks like Kuzmanovic may have cramped up a little bit, and he's going to get some help. Armouche helps him off. Kijab back and re-entering the ball game along with Emmanuel Acott.
Well, he's walking as if it's an ankle as opposed to a cramp.
Maybe,
you know, usually when you're a cramp, it hurts so much you got to grab the area that's cramping.
Right.
So let's hope that it's maybe that it is just a cramp. You don't want to see any more players go down. That's for sure.
Yeah, after the experience the Matadors had on Saturday up at Fresno State, losing their point guard, and we really still haven't gotten any official word on Darius Brown. He's here at the game. He's on the bench on crutches as Kijab kicks to the left corner for Acott for Boise State. Acott drives baseline, shut off there. Nice job by Miles James helping out. But Kijab drops it right back to Acott, who lays it up and in.
Once again, Wright getting beat by the backdoor cut. He just looks at the ball. He watches the ball and loses his man.
Boise State up 20-9 on CSUN. Thanks for joining us. We're at the Matadome here in the San Fernando Valley. Herrick to the free throw line, kicks left wing for Attenwright. Wright working against Acott, giving up a little size there. Step back three. Karam's off the back heel, comes out in the corner to Acott for Boise State. Boise State basketball, they lead it 20-9. Nearly a turnover. Dagon Hart claims it. Smith in front, fouled by Miles James.
Well, right now the Matador shooters are getting length put on them, and when you have Acott putting on Wright, I mean, he's got about 7 inches on him, so that's just a tough matchup for Attenwright to have to deal with that length.
So line change for Coach Trent Johnson and CSUN. Elijah Hardy back along with Darius Bean. Trent Johnson, I don't know if it's a full trend, if it's a precise trend, but he subs his backcourt in and out almost like a hockey coach would sub in and out a defensive pairing.
Yeah, I think it was defense. You said defense. I think that's why the subbing happened. The Matadors weren't playing very good defense.
Kijab into the paint. Kicks to the left corner. Acott off the deflection. Back up top. Smith lets fly. Three-pointer.
Everything going for them. I mean, look, the Matadors, unfortunately, the defense that they're playing right now just fits perfectly with the Broncos. Matadors not getting out the shooters, open looks. You have a 14-point lead, and you're always comfortable when you have a lead shooting long shots.
So James leaves, as does Herrick, and Attenwright quickly back for the Matadors, along with Kalen Rain. So the Matadors going a little bit small here against Boise State. The Broncos up 23-9 on a 5-0 run right now. They opened the game on an 11-0 run. Kijab in the paint, extra pass underneath, extra pass over to Dagon Hart from Smith, and the freshman lays it up and in.
Well, you know, we've never seen this. The Matadors are a very good defensive team, but right now they're getting picked apart. So either the Matadors are just so concerned because they're having to go with between zone and man that they're confused on the defensive end.
Right off to Hardy. Hardy, the left-handed jumper, 15-footer over Dagon Hart.
You know, I think the Matadors are just going to have to just go with a tough man-to-man, and you're going to have to challenge yourself to stay in front of your man. Stay in front of your man. Don't worry about anything but who you're guarding. Don't really worry about help defense.
Kijab to the bucket, close in, can't finish. But underneath, Dagon Hart picks up the trash and lays it up and in.
Now the Matadors are just being outworked. But I will say this. I think the Broncos were very disappointed in the last couple of games that they played because they hadn't been scoring well and shooting well, and they know that they're a team that can score it. And this has to feel good to them that they're able to get some good looks running their offense and then still playing the kind of defense that they love.
Allen, through their first 8 games last year, they were 7-1 AZ. They averaged 79.5 points a game and were shooting 47%. Through the Broncos' first 8 games this year, they're 4-4. They're shooting 41.6% and averaging 64 points per game.
Yeah, they are a team that can score it, and I'm quite sure they feel like at some point it's going to come around, and it is tonight so far.
27-11, the Broncos lead. Here's Hardy, right side. The mid-range jumper for him, short to the right side. Najee Smith, the rebound for the Broncos of Boise State. Acott breaking out. Dancing left side. Pick and pop, Dagon Hart for 3, and he hits it. Dagon Hart, the freshman, He has really stepped up, making his third start in a row. He's out of Spokane. He's got that floppy Pete Maravich hair going on. Earlier this season, it was a little bit longer. It was kind of like the Keanu Reeves hair. Like Samson and Delilah, he clipped it off, but it made him stronger. Had 11 points in each of his first 2 games. Here's Hardy to the baseline. Kicks out to Raines for CSUN. Matadors down 30-11. Kalen Raines to the bucket. Short grazes the front rim. And the Broncos running it out. Nice job getting back in transition by the Matadors. Key job posting up on Atten Wright. Like ringing a dinner bell. Acott catch and shoots. Short front rim. Knocked around off of Darius Bean, and we'll get a break. It'll stay with the Broncos. 30-11, Boise State very much in control tonight at the Matadome. 7:06 to play in the first half. We'll step out and come back with more Matadors basketball on ESPN+. And from Learfield, presented. It up to Dagon Hart out of the corner. In and out, defensive rebound right for CSUN. I like that Keyjob is looking for his teammates. He's been doing that all game, Alan.
He's been very unselfish. He's taking the right shot and just doing the right thing.
Darius Bean with a nice make on the baseline for the Matadors. You know, Bean showed some really good energy on Saturday at Fresno, Alan.
And because if he shows the kind of energy that they need from him as he progresses, the Matadors are going to be much more difficult to defend.
Acott in front, drops it down for Dagon Hart against Herrick. Herrick got a piece of it and tips it to Aisi for CSUN. Hardy, long pass ahead to Wright. Wright trying to beat Keyjab down the floor. Tough take, won't finish, but it'll go to the line.
Keyjab doesn't believe that. He said, I backed off, Mr. Official, because I'm much longer than the young man. I don't believe that I fouled him. But all the contact was created that time by Atten Wright. Smart play by Wright.
Good crew tonight, too. Vern Harris, Deldre Carr, Kevin Brill. That's an all-star crew,
It
AC.
sure is. I told them before the game, it's like a Super Bowl crew. They said, nah, we just love basketball.
Atten Wright to the free throw line. Mentioned he missed Saturday's game against Fresno State with an illness, and he swishes the first one through, and he is a very good free throw shooter. Wright, the leading scorer for the Matadors, AZ, on the season, 10.2 points per game. He's made every free throw. I don't want to jinx him. He's made every free throw he's shot this season.
Well, the Matadors have gotten back-to-back stops. Can they get 3 stops in a row? And they've been able to score after getting those stops. So that's how you creep back in the game on the defensive end. Even at some point, the Broncos have to cool down a little bit.
So 30-15 as Atten Wright hits them both. And the Matadors will show pressure on the backcourt. Miles James back in for CSUN. So Wright, Hardy, James Bean, and Aisi on the floor for CSUN. It's Acott, Dagon Hart, Shaver on the floor with Max Rice and Mladen Armouche, who handles the ball right now for Boise State. Left of center, Rice. Off to Acott. Swing left wing, Rice. Puts it down inside for the big fella from Serbia, and a whistle and a foul on Atten Wright. Armouche at 6'10", being guarded by Atten Wright. Good effort by Atten down there.
Good effort by Atten Wright, but I don't think Armouche even felt him. The official called the foul, and he kind of looked around and said, what happened? That guy didn't do anything to me. I didn't feel him anyway.
He spells his name A-R-M-U-S, and it's pronounced Armouche. And it was my bad. I should have looked up how you say moose in Serbian, because that's what I'd call him. He's a big fella down inside. Shaver loses his footing and then calls timeout. Timeout for Boise State. And I don't know if he got bumped there. Shaver a little bit slow to get up. And as a Matador fan, you got to be a little sympathetic whenever a player goes down. If you joined us late, Darius Brown injured against Fresno State. It's a leg injury, and we don't know exactly the status of it, but Darius not playing, obviously, tonight on the bench, though, with his team.
And not only is Darius not playing, I mean, you lose his points, his assists, you lose his leadership. Miles Brookins isn't playing, and Christian Gray was a little bit under the weather this week. And Lance Coleman has not played at all. You're talking about 3 guys who will likely be starters, so the Matadors are shorthanded. But that doesn't matter. No one really cares. You just have to come into each ball game, step up, play hard, play to your best.
Yeah, I mean, and I asked, we'll replay the interview, too, later. I asked Coach Johnson. I said, what does that mean? What is next man up? You hear that from a lot of coaches. And Coach Johnson said, listen, there's going to be opportunities. There are a lot of guys who think they should be playing more than they're playing. He's like, okay, well, here's your opportunity. What are you going to do? What are you going to show me?
And sometimes what happens is you see maybe why you're not starting. So it's the opportunity to say, look, I'm going to earn these minutes. I got them. I'm going to make absolutely sure that when everybody comes back, coach is going to have to consider me.
I don't think coach meant that as a negative. I just think he said, hey, if you're a player, you always think you should be playing more. Armouche down underneath against Aisi. Nice little step through, but he can't finish. Max Rice with the offensive rebound. Kicks out to Shaver for Boise State. Matadors down 15 as we near 5 minutes to play in the first half. Shaver against James, poked away from him, and here's Atten Wright the other way. Wright slows down, a little hesitation move, and the hesitation as Rice slips in and draws the charge on Atten Wright.
That was just a beautiful play by Rice. You can tell he's a coach's son. He set that up the whole time. He was running as if Wright had a chance to get by him, and then he stopped outside the parabola and took the charge right in the chest.
So Rice and Shaver on the floor with Acott, Dagon Hart, and Armouche for Boise State. For the Matadors, Fidelis Okereke checks in, so it's Hardy, Bean, Okereke, Miles James, and Brendan Herrick. Here's Emmanuel Acott on the left side. Dagon Hart's looked good, hadn't he?
Yes, he has.
Into the paint, out to Rice, deep three. Too strong. Long rebound, though, right to Acott. Rice will get another shot. He'll pass up the three. Acott won't, though.
Yeah, he's a good shooter. You know, you can't give them second chance opportunities, and then if they knock down a three, it just breaks your heart if you're a Matador fan.
33-15, Matadors trail by 18. Largest lead of the game for Boise State. Under 5 minutes to play here in the first half. Darius Bean down to the baseline. He likes that shot, the fall away. Defensive rebound, Armouche.
I'm glad that he took that shot. That's a good shot for him, and he'll just have to make that at a higher percentage, though. That shot is right there for him.
Guy who made a living with that was Terrell Gomez. Spent last year at San Diego State, and now he's playing in Turkey and putting up some points as Armouche backs down. Fidelis Okereke around the perimeter to the right side for Boise State. 10 to shoot for the Broncos. Acott and Bean underneath, gives it to Shaver, he'll launch. And it flashes down.
Well, that was a deep three. I mean, that was almost an NBA three. So I guess he's okay. He went out of the ball game and then stepped in and hit a three. He's pretty good, isn't he?
10 points for Marcus Shaver Jr., picking up right where he left off against the Matadors when he was playing for Portland. Okereke working against Armouche, trying to spin underneath. Max Rice comes over to help, knocks it away. It'll stay with the Matadors, and we'll take a break. 36-15, the Broncos up 21 on CSUN. Here on a Tuesday night, we'll step out and come back. Matadors basketball from ESPN Plus and from Learfield, presented by Dignity Health, Northridge Hospital Medical Center. We're back. Gazelle Hassan Allen Zinsmeister back with you in the San Fernando Valley from the Matadome. Welcome to Northridge. And the Broncos feeling quite welcome tonight, Allen. They lead by 21, 36-15.
They're shooting 57.7% from the field, 46% from behind the arc, and this is a team that shoots under 30%. Quite well they are feeling.
Matador basketball, this is Elijah Hardy. The transfer from Portland State, started his career at the University of Washington, comes out of that Bishop Haddad program in Oakland, and there you go. He drives lane, left hand, and Elijah Hardy takes it straight to the tin.
And that time he was on his strong side, his left side, and he's a little bit too quick.
Armouche, little magicianship with the basketball. Here's Dagon Hart, two-man game, off to Armouche, who jams it down.
Well, the Matadors get beat on that quite a bit, the pick and roll, and they stayed with the gentleman who had the basketball a little too long. Didn't go with the roll man.
Posting up Herrick against Shaver. Right as center, Darius Bean shoots the three. Rims out, defensive rebound, Armouche for Boise State. The Broncos up big, and they look like the team they were picked in the beginning of the season, AZ. They were picked to finish fourth in the Mountain West. It's a pretty good basketball conference these days. Colorado State, San Diego State, Nevada, and the Broncos, and they're looking every bit of that right now.
Yeah, they've always been solid for so very long.
Catch and shoot three in transition, way off Miles James, right into Shaver's hands. 38-17, a 21-point lead for the Broncos of Boise State. Acott and Kijab on the wings, they've really been facilitators all night, Allen. This time Acott will shoot it. It'll roll off the back iron, but there's Armouche underneath, and he's hammered by Okereke.
There is not one player that the Matadors have on the – well, actually, I'm sorry, because Shaver's out there. He's the only one that if you were to match him up against maybe Hardy, that he's shorter than Hardy. The length, the experience, the strength, all points towards the Broncos, and they're using it against the Matadors, as well-coached teams do.
So here's Armush, who came from Serbia to the Southwest Christian Academy in Arkansas before starting his career at East Tennessee State. And that's one thing the Broncos haven't done well this year. As a team, Alan, they're shooting 56%. I think Bob Baylor was telling me, the play-by-play guy for Boise State, I think they're 353 out of 358 teams with that 56% free throw shooting.
You know, actually, I thought it was going to go in because everything has been going their way. So I knew that shooting percentage, but I just assumed the free throw was going to go.
And that one bounces off the back iron. Darius Bean cleans it up. So Armush misses them both, and it's still a 38-17 Broncos lead. Hardy directing the offense for CSUN. Matadors shorthanded again for the second straight game. They did get a couple guys back today. They have Atten right back and Fidelis Okereke, but missing Darius Brown. Hardy to Bean, right wing three, too strong to the left side. Boise
Bean is
State.
not a good three-point shooter, but he's got to take it. It's an open shot. He's got to take that shot.
Shaver all the way down is hammered. Will go to the free throw line with under 2 minutes to play here in the first half. And I mentioned we saw Marcus Shaver Jr. against the Matadors when he was at Portland. Played against the Matadors on the 17th of November back in 2018 up at Portland. Had 16 points in that one. That was a game the Matadors won.
But he's got some teammates with him now that's a little bit better.
Interesting move. You know, the West Coast Conference, a pretty good basketball conference, but Marcus Shaver took a step up in weight class as he rims that out off the back iron.
Now, that's shocking. Now, he's their best free throw shooter. So to see him miss,
89% free throw shooter
yeah.
on the year. Last year he was an 82% shooter, so he's a pretty good free throw shooter. Was an 81.5% in his career at Portland. Second foul on Fidelis Okereke, the sixth foul on the Matadors, and wow, missed them both. So four straight misses. Two straight guys missed two free throws.
Well, if there is ever a night that maybe the Broncos could get away with not making their free throws, it might be tonight because they've got a 21-point lead, and the Matadors aren't able to really to score so far. Matadors are going to have to somehow figure out a way to get inside and score around the basket.
Max Rice back for Boise State. Marcel Stevens, the 6'2 sophomore from the Beverly Hills area, checks in for the Matadors. Here's Stevens dribbling in front. Kalen Raines outside. And now here's Herrick with a touch. Darius Bean takes the ball to the baseline. Went up and down, but then put it back up and lays it up and in.
The ball was knocked out of his hands, I believe, by Rice. Rice did a good job.
Vern Harris telling Leon Rice, hey, your son knocked that ball away.
Yeah.
So Darius Bean stays with it and lays it up and in to make it a 38-19 lead for Boise State. Nearing a minute to play in the first half. Look at Armush down underneath, looking like Arvydas Sabonis there with the ball handling.
Well,
I know Sabonis isn't Serbian, but you know.
Well, he traveled that time. He was looking so good because he got a little extra step in, and the strength of Okereke helped the Matadors that time.
I guess I got to compare him to the Joker, right? Joker from Denver. That's who the comparison are. I'm dating myself there.
Yeah, but he won't take any three-point shots.
Well, we don't know yet, AC. Left corner, here's three from Raines for CSUN. That's short, off of Acott, and finally something goes wrong for the Broncos.
Matadors can't settle for three-pointers. I mean, I know Raines hit one earlier, but right now you've got to have the mindset of attack. Attack. That'll get you going.
Stevens against Acott and a whistle underneath. And the shot clock didn't start.
Yep, it didn't start. It's probably going to take at least 2 seconds.
Kevin Brill right on top of it. How about that?
Well, they're a good officiating crew. If they'd missed that, I would have been disappointed.
Yeah, so they're on the way down. The ball got knocked away from Bean. There you go. Rice gets a piece of it, and then Bean takes it and goes back up with it. That's what Vern Harris was explaining to Leon Rice, the head coach of Boise State. Under a minute to play here in the first half. Matadors down by 19 against the Broncos, and Shaver nearly takes it away.
Right now, the Matadors, that was a bad pass, and they're very fortunate. I'm sorry, Gazal, they're very fortunate that wasn't stolen. You've got players on the court that probably will never play together. Stevens and Raines on the court at the same time. That's never happened.
Here's Okereke, gives it off to Stevens. 5 on the shot clock for the Matadors. Here's Bean from 17. Short front rim right into Armush's hands. Acott for the Broncos, very much in control of this one. Ran out to an 11-0 start, and then they lead here by 19. Shaver off the flash, took too many steps.
Shaver saw an opening, and he was going to take off, and then Stevens at the very last closed that opening, and that caused the travel.
You know, Stevens hadn't played a lot this year. It's his third appearance for the Matadors, but I think Coach Johnson likes his ability to stay in front of guys on defense. He's a quick guy who can move his feet.
And I want to correct myself. They've been on the floor, Raines and Stevens together, but never in the first half.
15 seconds to play. Here's Raines for the Matadors. CSUN down 38-19. Right side, Darius Bean. Right baseline, Okereke against Armouche. Double team by Rice. Trapped underneath, trying to step through. He flings it up and gets it.
Sometimes it's better to be, I won't say lucky, I'll say fortunate than good, because that was a very fortunate bounce for the Matadors.
38-21. We'll get a look at that last bucket here in the first half. Okereke puts the ball to the floor and is double teamed, kind of doing the step through here and flings it up and down it falls. Look what I found, Ma. And the bucket goes down 38-21. We'll step out for halftime here from the Matadome in the San Fernando Valley, Northridge, California. Boise State 38, CSUN 21. Back with more Matadors basketball from ESPN Plus and Learfield, as presented by Dignity Health, Northridge Hospital Medical Center. At 38-21. Looking down the stat sheet on the Matador side, Alan, just 8 of 24 from the floor, 33% from the field for the Matadors. Their leading scorer, they have Onyeisi, Elijah Hardy, Darius Bean, all with 4 points. Kalen Raines with a three-pointer on a three-point bucket, and then Anton Wright, Miles James, and Fidelis Okereke each with a lone basket each. You know, and you don't want to use it as an excuse because Coach Trent Johnson will not use it as an excuse. But no Darius Brown, he's on crutches. Already missing Miles Brookins, but also now we didn't see Christian Gray. You know, he only played about 2.5 minutes in the first half.
And at halftime, when he was walking off the court, he was limping, and now he's not in the warm-up line. So that must mean another injury for the Matadors, because if he's not out in the warm-up line, he's probably not going to play this half.
Yeah, the Matadors out-rebounded 20-10 in the first half, and what we were talking about is, you know, Boise State, when they play well, last year they had a good season. They share the ball extremely well. 11 assists to just 4 turnovers. And it goes without saying, the Matadors lose a guy who over his career was in the top 5 in assist-to-turnover ratio. Darius Brown, I think, finished 5th, 9th, and 12th in his 3 years here with the Matadors in terms of assist-to-turnover ratio in the country. And so you take him out of the equation, it makes it even more difficult. But you're impressed with how Boise State is really running their offense. Their offense has been a little bit maligned this year, largely on the shooting side. But, you know, they're still running Coach Rice's stuff, and they're running it effectively and running it really well.
I think what Coach Johnson said in the pregame interview, is that they have faced some tough competition. So they faced tough competition, and now they get a chance. They won their last ball game. They are playing against a shorthanded Matador team. And when you have a good team like the Broncos have, and you're playing a team that's shorthanded, these guys know that, and they understand how to attack and play smart basketball. So they're taking advantage of a situation that's given to them, and that's what they're supposed to do. Yeah,
they went out and played in the Charleston Classic out in Charleston, South Carolina, right before Thanksgiving. They lost to St. Bonaventure. St. Bonaventure, at the time, was ranked. They beat Temple by 20, and they beat Ole Miss by 10. Remember, Temple was a team that was right there with the USC team that we saw. So Temple's legit. Ole Miss is an SEC team. You know they're legit. And then I think Boise State came back, and I know they had a couple of injuries, and they had some stuff going on internally with the team. They had a player leave the team, so maybe that affected them a little bit. The game that I looked at that I thought the Matadors could really, platform on was that Bakersfield game. Rod Barnes, the old KG guy, went in there and helped them to 39 points.
Well, he didn't really, yes, they had scored 39 points to the Broncos, but I don't think the Broncos could have shot any worse if they were blindfolded. I watched that game several times, and I could not believe that was a Broncos squad. They just couldn't make shots. They couldn't make free throws, and that happens sometimes. And I think after that particular game, they were determined to never let that happen again. They're going to run their offense. They're going to make the shots that are available to them, and they're doing it tonight so far. Yeah, they lost a starter. Demonaire Dutrieve was dismissed from the team a couple of games ago, and they're still trying to figure out their footing. There were some questions, if you're reading Boise State sources, that,
with Dutrieve leaving, there were a couple guys they redshirted, and they're like, well, will those guys' red shirts come off? But I think Dagon Hart has really stepped up into that role, and I've been so impressed with the freshman tonight, AZ.
I was impressed when I watched him on film, and he's got a lot of confidence with all. He's a shooter, he's a banger, he's got finesse, and he is very, very confident. So my thought process is, yeah, just give him as many minutes as necessary because he's going to help your squad.
So it's Atten Wright, Darius Bean, Brendan Herrick on the floor with Miles James and Onyi Aisi for the Matadors. Starting five back out for Boise State. That means Shaver, Kijab, Akad, Dagon Hart, and Armouche. Aisi going to go right inside against the big fella Armouche. Aisi spins to his right, shut off, takes it up, and is fouled.
I like that. He did not quit, even though Armouche did a really good job of not allowing him to get where he wanted to on the glass, but he did not give up. So Aisi did a good job creating that foul.
Yeah, he's just a rugged cat, man. Armouche down underneath. He's just hard to move off that block. And yeah. Aisi, you know, he's a strong guy too. He's a little bit more slight than Armouche, but he stayed with it. And the first free throw rims out. He made his first two. Did Onyi Aisi. Now he's 2 for 3 from the line, 4 points on the evening. Matadors down 38-21.
And every point for the Matador counts. I mean, maybe the Broncos can get away with shooting 50%. The Matadors can't.
So 1 for 2 for Aisi, and it's a 38-22 game. Let's see what the Matadors can do here on defense. Armouche out high on the dribble, off to Kijab. Down the right side of the lane, raked across the arm by Miles James.
James is really going to struggle trying to stay in front of Kijab. James just doesn't have the foot speed. James is taller, but not the foot speed to stay with him, and it was very evident that time. What James is going to have to do, he's going to need some help, and he's going to have to take away the strong hand of Kijab. He's not going to allow him to go to the right.
Kijab's family moved to Canada from Sudan at the age of 9 as he misses the free throw, and I think I don't think. Boise State is 0 for from the free throw line. They're now 0 for 5. Kijab comes in a 51% shooter. Last year was 72% in 25 games, and he sinks that one. The first free throw make by the Broncos on the evening, 39-22, a 17-point lead, and here comes that full court press. Aisi helping out with it, up the right side. He's trapped and has to call timeout.
Yeah, that's just smart. After the made free throw, and they have not been making them, but once they get a made free throw, they know they're going to go to their press and their trap. And the Matadors, because they don't have Darius Brown the second in the ballgame, because Elijah Hardy did not start the second half, they're struggling a little bit.
Timeout on the floor. We'll keep it right here with the Matadors trailing 39-22. I wanted to tell a story about Leon Rice and the head coach, his connection, well, to the Big West. So Leon Rice took over the job. This is his 12th year. He was an assistant at Gonzaga under Mark Few, but the connection to Mark Few came through a little bit circuitously through the Big West. He had worked camps with Mark Few at the University of Oregon, where he was an assistant under Don Munson. Don Munson's son, you may know, is a fellow named Dan Munson, who's now the head coach at Long Beach State. So when Coach Munson left Gonzaga to become the head coach at Minnesota, that's when Coach Rice was added to the Gonzaga staff. He'd worked at Oregon, he'd worked at Northern Colorado, and then he'd been the head coach at Yakima Valley Junior College, and then goes to Gonzaga, was there for about a decade, and the rest, as they say, Alan, is history.
That's a coaching tree, right? I mean, and when you think of the Zags, look, Coach Rice was with a wonderful program, but now he's building something here at Boise State that could rival the Zags in the Mountain West.
39-22, the Matadors down 17.
I'm looking at it. Atten Wright is being guarded by Akad. I mean, that's not even fair.
Here's Wright. Left hand to the basket. Oh, heartbreak. Rolls off the right side of the rim. Dagon Hart snatches it away for Boise State. Broncos up 17. Armouche facing the basket. Now he'll back down. Kicks it into the right corner. Kijab sweeps to the bucket. impeded by Atten Wright, the foul on Atten Wright for the Matadors.
Smartly impeded, but that's his third foul, unfortunately, for the Matadors. So he couldn't stop the driving key jab and had to reach out and foul him.
Third foul on Atten, second on the Matadors. Here's Shaver on the flash, Acott. Nice job by Bean to stay in front of him. Key jab right side.
Well, key jab is having his way with the Matadors right now. He's looking at Wright and saying, you're too tiny. He looks at James and said, you just don't have the quickness that I have. So right now the Matadors are in trouble because of the defensive mismatches.
Yeah, I mentioned in the first half, third foul on Miles James. He'll leave the floor. Kalen Raines checks back in, the sophomore from the San Diego area. And Kalen's a little undersized, but he's probably as quick. And Dagon Hart denied first by Herrick and then by Aisi. 39-22. Here's Wright on the outside.
Coach Johnson is saying that Aisi has been held.
Wright to the bucket, denied, but draws the foul.
Yeah, I think that was a make-up call because Aisi was held. They didn't make a call. That time, Wright threw his body into the defender, fell down, and I thought it was verticality, and he got the call.
Yeah, Coach Johnson and Deldre Carr having a little conversation. Sidebar, right? What did they say, those legal shows? Your Honor, sidebar.
Well, Coach Wright, he kind of walked towards the officials as if to say, okay, you missed the first one, but I don't like you calling the second one because free throws are being taken.
So now here's Atten to the free throw line. And that one rims in. Mention Atten Wright was the leading scorer for the Matadors coming into play today, 10.2 points per game. Matter of fact, he's the only Matador in double figures. CSUN comes in averaging less than 60 points per game, 59.1. The Matadors shooting just a tick under 40% for the year. Now, they played some good defensive teams.
Yeah, excellent defensive teams. They've not caught a break on the defensive side.
So Wright makes them both for CSUN. Hardy comes back into the game for the Matadors. So Atten now 4 points all from the free throw line, and the Matadors trail by 15, 39-24. Najee Smith back. He's the senior out of Spokane for Boise State. And a whistle underneath, stepped on the line.
Yeah, that time the pass was just a little too far away from Armouche, and he was not able to corral it without stepping on the line.
We need 18 minutes remaining in regulation. Here comes the pressure from Boise State. Hardy and Herrick in the backcourt. Hardy went over and back. Wow, Deldre Carr right on the top of the call.
This is when the Matadors really, really miss Darius Brown II, because if Darius is in the game, he's able to break that press. He's very comfortable with the traps. He understands where the release valve is.
So a turnover, and it's Boise State basketball. Armouche swings it to the right side. Here's Shaver to his left. Now back to his right against Hardy. 2 to shoot. Acott lets fly. Front rim backboard tapped around out of bounds. Goes over to CSUN.
Very good defense that time by the Matadors, not allowing dribble penetration. So a good defensive stop for the Matadors.
So they set up the press. Looks like a 1-2-2 for Boise State. Right up the middle of the floor is Elijah Hardy. Hardy ain't going to fool around with straddling the line this time. Now Hardy's going to have to step up, Alan. He's the guy probably that'll gain the majority of the minutes that are surrendered by the injury to Darius Brown.
And this is his chance. He's a Power 5 recruit. This is his chance to step up.
Darius Bean with the runner in the lane.
Matadors are down by 13, Gazal. They're back in this ball game.
Kijab and Raines, and Kalen Raines thought he had position, but the swim move threw it by Abu Kijab and the foul on Kalen.
I have to smile, Gazal, because I think Kijab is looking and says, look, I got a youngster on me, I got a tiny guy on me, and I got a guy who's not quite as quick as me. Keep sending them out to me, Coach. I'll just take each of your players, and I'll take their lunch money.
Boise State with the ball up by 13. Turnover as Shaver loses it. Here's Bean in the open court. Bean to the basket.
Very good by Bean. He knew the defenders were behind him. He made sure he protected the ball and laid it in.
Matadors have trimmed this back to an 11-point game. Acott against Bean, the foul on Darius Bean. First on Darius, the fifth on the Matadors.
6'8" against 6'3". Now, when you're playing a 6'8" guy, you need to you don't have to get right up on him. He was a little too close with Bean. Bean didn't have to reach. You're going to have to just use your quickness. Allow yourself to step back, and you can use your quickness defensively against him.
Deldre Carr holding the ball up. He'll hand the ball off to Acott to trigger. Underneath for Najee Smith against Raines, and he lays it up and in.
Yeah, that's just a nice inbound play, and Raines that time didn't offer quite enough resistance.
Here comes the pressure. Hardy left side. Parts the defenders. Underneath for Aisi. Aisi reverse layup left to right.
Attack a press to score, and that's what the Matadors did. You must attack a press to score. That'll get them out of it.
Armouche handling in front, the big Serbian. Hand off to Acott. Acott dribbles down to the baseline against Bean. Bean giving no quarter. Acott trying to step through. The ball's deflected. Goes out to Najee Smith for Boise State. 10 to shoot for the Broncos. Smith reverse layup. Lays it up and in. Nice job moving the ball underneath.
Pass by Schaefer, though. He saw the opening and made a great pass for that reverse layup attempt.
13-point game. Here's Hardy all the way down. Aisi stopped his dribble, needs some help. There's Hardy on the right side. Little two-man game developing. Aisi against Armouche. Little hook shot is going to be an air ball caught by Shaver. Here's the run out for Boise State, but a nice job getting back by the Matadors. Shaver in front, weaving. Swerving down the lane. Kicks to the right corner for Smith, and Smith travels.
Smith's got to take the shot. Shaver did a wonderful job getting him an open look, but he didn't take the shot. He wanted to do a little shake and bake, and it cost him.
13-point lead for the Broncos, 43-30, 15-29 to play in regulation. The Big West on ESPN+. Matadors basketball from Learfield, presented to you by Dignity Health. Northridge Hospital Medical Center, we're back.
At Dignity Health Northridge Hospital.
Welcome back to the Matadome. We're in the San Fernando Valley. It's a 15-29 to play in regulation. Matadors down 13, and they'll have the ball. 43-30, Boise State leads this one, but the Matadors chipping away a little bit here in the second half.
The Matadors are going to need Brendan Herrick to start making some shots. He's out there, he's playing solid defense, and I like it. Had a couple of block shots, but they need his scoring as well.
Onyi Aisi kills his dribble, and he'll send it outside. Herrick against Rice. Max Rice has checked in for Boise State. 10 to shoot for the Matadors. Here's Bean into the lane, and one. How about that? He went right at Abu Kijab.
You know, Darius Bean may not be the greatest three-point shooter because he's a slasher. They forced him to take the three-pointers, and he had to. I have no issues with him. But when he's getting to the rim, that's when he's most dangerous. He's going to be quicker than the guys that's guarding him because they just can't stay with his quickness. And he's athletic enough to rise up and drop down shots.
Bean comes over from NIU, and he hits the and one, and the Matadors have trimmed the lead to 10. And I think that game against Fresno State, another good defensive team, Allen, probably gave Bean a little bit of confidence.
Bean knows what he can do. He just didn't understand his role earlier, but he's getting it now.
Shaver with the three. Nice play by Najee Smith trying to keep it in. And Hardy saved it. Well, he saved it to Hardy, and it'll be Matador basketball.
Well, right now the three-pointers aren't falling for the Broncos like it did earlier, and that's hurting them. So the Matadors are getting back in the ballgame because they're doing a better job defensively.
Matadors down 10. Hardy with the ball. Hardy and Bean in the backcourt. Bean all the way down to the baseline. Looking back out on the right side. Here's Raines. Herrick in front. Thought about the three. 10 to shoot for the Matadors. Here's Hardy in the paint. Back to Brendan Herrick. Herrick on the baseline. 5 to shoot for the Matadors. Here's Aisi. Aisi in and out. No. Armouche with the defensive rebound for Boise State. Good stop there by the Broncos.
Excellent defense by the Broncos. Matadors actually tried to do everything they could to create some separation. Not able to.
Here's Rice to the bucket. Misses the bunny inside. Najee Smith, though, there to clean up the trash. Uses the window on the reverse layup.
Yeah, big guys using their length that time. That's all that was.
Matadors trail by 12. The Broncos up 45-33. Herrick, right side, hasn't attempted a three-pointer yet. He'll drop it off for Aisi on the baseline. Onye rejected by Armouche. Kijab picks it up off the floor for Boise State. Matadors had cut it to 10. Now the Broncos getting serious. Nice look by Najee Smith trying to make the extra pass, but couldn't quite get it to Armouche.
Yeah, Armouche actually had sealed his man, and Smith that time just got a little bit greedy. He should have thrown it a little bit closer to Armouche. He was actually just trying to throw it closer towards the basket, hoping that Armouche would be able to go get it and lay it in.
I'd call it a pin. It wasn't really a pin down. It was pinned to the outside,
yes.
And Armouche had all that open space on the inside. Hardy finds Atten Wright, will let fly. Skips over the front of the rim, right to Abu Kijab for Boise State. Kijab, nice hesitation move down the lane. Strong to the bucket, no, but he'll draw the foul.
And I think they're going to call that one on Miles James, and I thought Miles James did a good job of just making sure that he was backing away. He forced Kijab to go to his left, which is a good thing, but that time I didn't think he fouled.
Miles James, I mean, that was his specialty. We were told, you know, when he got to Southern California, hey, this is a guy who's going to have some length. He can guard a couple of different positions, and he's a bit of a defensive specialist, and we'll get another look at it. Kijab down the lane, and yeah, lines up the free throw.
And he drained it. I mean, look, at some point those free throws were going to fall for the Broncos. They are a 50-plus free throw shooting team, so they weren't going to miss them all. And now 2 back-to-back makes by Kijab.
Kijab averaging 13 points, 7 rebounds a game in about 30 minutes.
You know what I really like about Kijab? I like the fact that he's got a lot of confidence, but he trusts his teammates. You can tell he trusts his teammates. But when it's time to get active, it's time to make a bucket, he goes and does it.
Makes it 47-33, and so Kijab sits down. Emmanuel Acott back. Acott, the senior out of Winnipeg by way of Arizona. Couple of Pac-12 transfers. Here's another Pac-12 transfer by way of the Big Sky. Right wing, wide open three from Bean. Skips off the flat, deflected over to Atten Wright. Wright will dribble it back out for the Matadors. They trail by 14.
Oh, Bean had that shot. It looked so good. I thought it was going to fall for him.
And Wright misfires. Shaver back the other way for Boise State.
Shaver's probing the defense, just looking for the open man. How about that?
Dagon Hart.
Boy, what a great point guard. He was probing. Gasol saw the open man, and the open man paid it off.
50-33. It was a 10-point lead moments ago. Back to a 17-point lead for Boise State. They've scored the last 7 points of this one. Hard into the basket, can't finish. Rice runs it out for Boise State. Leave for Dagon Hart. Acott for Rice underneath against Okereke.
Timeout if I were the Matadors. And here they are calling timeout. Matadors got it down to 10, and then all of a sudden the Broncos realized, you know what? We're fooling around, fellas. We got away from what we do best. Let's run our offense, put the ball in the hand of our point guard, and let's get it done.
9-0 run for the Broncos. We'll step aside and come right back. Broncos 52, Matadors 33. Matadors basketball from Learfield, presented to you by Dignity Health, Northridge Hospital Medical Center, and the Big West on ESPN+. We're back. Run. It was a 10-point game. Matadors had possession, but Boise State stepped up, especially on the defensive side, Allen.
What they smartly did was, look, Darius Bean was getting into the lane and scoring, so they said, look, we're going to pack it in. Mr. Bean, if you hit a three-point shot, you know, that's good on you. And Bean had to take those three-pointers, not able to make it, so it's forced the Matadors to kind of get away from the offense that they were most effective with.
Shaver, Acott on the floor with Najee Smith, Dagon Hart, and Max Rice for Boise State. For the Matadors, it's Herrick, Wright, Hardy, Bean, and Okereke. Here's Elijah Hardy against Emmanuel Acott. Hardy out of Bishop down in Oakland, started his career at Washington, and then comes to the Matadors from Portland State. Left side Bean. Bean out of Carbondale, Illinois. Terminates his dribble, and it's taken away by Max Rice. Rice leaves for Acott, who jams it down.
Yeah, that time it was just a tough pass, not a very good pass, and an easy steal, and Rice smartly gave it up for an easy dunk.
You know, and we talked about this in the first half, Alan. For all the struggles offensively for Boise State, their defense was right at the stage like it was last year. They played some very good defense. They won 7 of their first 8 games last year, ended up playing in the NIT, and an easy offensive foul call there against Fidelis Okereke. Dagon Hart steps in and takes the charge.
Good teams, when the Matadors got it to within 10 points, the coaches probably didn't have to say a word. The players understood what they needed to do for the Broncos, and now they've stretched this lead back over 20. So good teams, they understand, and they'll get it done when they're playing a team that's hurt like the Matadors, because the Matadors are shorthanded.
11-0 run for Boise State. They lead this one now by 21. Here's Rice dropping it down underneath. The ball loose on the floor. Atten Wright hustling down there, and it's going to stay with Boise State.
Yeah, Wright made a steal and then fell down and landed on the line, and Herrick is going to come out of the game, and so is Okereke. And Herrick not able to help them on the offensive end, and they desperately need him to. He's their experienced scorer, but everyone knows that Herrick can shoot now, and they are on him. They have Herrick awareness.
Deja vu all over again, Alan. On Saturday night, the Matadors, remember, they cut it to 10, and then Fresno State went on a run. Same thing here. The Matadors cut it to 10, and over about the last 4 minutes, Boise State now on an 11-0 run.
That's how they started the game, right?
Yeah, 13 for Dagon Hart, 10 for Shaver on the Boise State side. Darius Bean leads the Matadors with 11 points.
Matadors right now just doing anything. They're trying everything they can to score, and another turnover. That's not going to get it done. Very fortunate that that pass to Shaver was so bad.
Matadors this time the beneficiary of a turnover.
And, you know, and look, the Broncos aren't really giving in on the defensive side. They're still showing some full court pressure. Token pressure this time, but they're still showing it.
They're trying to get ready for their Mountain West Conference season. It'll be a tough run of the Mountain West. How about Colorado State being the preseason favorite? As Bean in and out, hard break, right into the hands of Dagon Hart on the defensive rebound for Boise State. Acott running the offense. Tyson Dagon Hart, deep three from the left wing, skips off the back iron, but deflected and comes out to Shaver.
Now the Matadors can't grab defensive boards, and they'll have to do that.
Acott, mid-range, rides the iron, defensive rebound, Aisi for CSU. Being dispossessed by Shaver on the baseline. Matadors will keep the ball. Oh, they won, huh?
Well, I actually thought that there was going to be a foul call because Bean was pushed that time. So I think the Matadors did not catch a break. That was a time I thought the officials were going to make a call for the Matadors.
54-33, Boise State on an 11-0 run. Matadors have been scoreless for nearly 5.5 minutes. That's after they'd cut the lead to 10.
And we've seen this before where the Matadors will go on their scoring droughts. That's the one thing they struggle with is scoring.
Smith, right wing three.
Good ball movement inside out, get an open three. You're up 21 points. It's easy to let that fly and hit it. It's not a tough shot when you're up 21.
Boise State coming into play tonight, Alan, they were below 30% as Aisi is stripped by Dagon Hart. They're going to call it a held ball. It'll go over to Boise State.
You know, if you're the coaching staff of the Matadors, you know you're shorthanded, and you know that you want to be very competitive, but you've got to see what guys can do in these situations. So now the players on the court are going to have to show the coaches, I will give you what you need, coach, and or they'll show the coaches, I struggle sometimes.
Keyjob drops it down for Dagon Hart, who has really stepped right into this offense, Alan. This is his third game as a starter.
He stepped into the office because he has unselfish players around him, and he's a talented player. And you've got older guys who are unselfish. They'll help you out. They'll look out for you, and that's what they're doing.
Here's Hardy on the right side. They'll drop it down to Aisi on the baseline against Dagon Hart. Here's Aisi underneath.
I'm actually surprised they called the foul. Normally, you'd have Armouche under there, and Aisi wouldn't be able to get any ground gained on him.
So Dagon Hart picks up his third, fourth team foul on Boise State. They lead big 59-33. And Atten Wright to trigger for the Matadors. 17 fouls on CSU.
Who's going to score for the Matadors? Somebody's going to have to step up and just make a shot.
IEC double team, fights through the double team and draws a foul.
Well, it's only the 15th foul on the Broncos, so it's very smart. They're doing a good job. They're not going to allow the Matadors to score inside. They're going to dare the Matadors to make perimeter shots.
Hardy. Short 12-footer is good.
There's a shot. Hardy had to make it. Nice shot by Hardy. Can the Matadors finish this game out with some good defensive pressure and some stops?
Ends about a 6.5-minute scoreless run for the Matadors. Dagon Hart passes up the three. He'll take it to the basket and the finger roll over the rim.
That's what happens when you make the three-point shots. The Matadors had to fly with high hands and just could not close out short. He smartly put it on the floor and went to the rim.
Dagon Hart over the first 6 games played just 47 minutes. The last 2 games he's averaged 35 and a half. He's at about 25 right now, so he'll be over 30 tonight. He pokes it away from IEC.
Yeah, and he's getting a chance to play some post defense, which really helps him. That's actually smart by Coach Rice to give him a chance to play in that low post.
IEC denies him, but a foul on Onye.
I love it when coaches teach. That's what Coach Rice is doing right now. He knows this game is in control. He can put this young man in there and say, I'm going to let you go to work around the basket.
We get a break with 7:38 to play in regulation, 61-35 in favor of Boise State. Back with more Matadors basketball on ESPN Plus, and also from Learfield and the Dignity Health North. Ghazal Hassan Allen Zinsmeister back with you at the Matadome, 61-35. And here's Dagon Hart to the free throw line. And big-time recruit as he sinks the first one. Dagon Hart out of Spokane, Mount Spokane High School, 2-time Greater Spokane League Player of the Year. Was also a javelin thrower, one of the top javelin throwers in the state of Washington. Last 2 games, 11 points in 34 minutes against Tulsa, 37 minutes against St. Louis, had 11 points and 6 rebounds. I mentioned had played a total of 47 minutes in the first 6 games prior to that, and he's having a pretty good night tonight for Boise State, who leads 63-35 against the Matadors.
He's having an excellent night, and this is the time that you want these young men to get a chance to play well.
Rains to the basket, denied by the front of the rim. Max Rice with the rebound for Boise State as we near the 7-minute mark here in regulation. CSUN started off hot in the second half. They're just 5 of 15 from the floor as Kijab takes it to the basket. No, the tip, no, and then Najee Smith with the flush.
And they're going to call it technical on Smith. But I tell you what, I would be very disappointed in Miles James. He was beaten, and then what happened? He thought the shot was going to go in, and he didn't really put a body on anybody to rebound. And you don't want to see that. You want to make sure that even though you're down big, and they are down big, and it's hard to stay up, but still have that self-pride just to fight through.
Herrick with the technical free throw will sink in. Now, to be fair, James playing with 4 fouls. But you're talking about a box out.
I'm talking about a box out. I'm talking about understanding that you still want to be physical. You don't want to just go through the motions. And my thought was he kind of went through the motions because he thought the ball was going to go in.
Matadors basketball, they're down 65-36. And, I mentioned the history of these teams. Nice job there by Hardy. Miles James on the baseline against Dagon Hart, and the foul on Dagon Hart.
I love it. They refuse to allow the Matadors to have an easy score around the basket. That's only their 16th foul. They're going to make the Matadors earn it from the perimeter, and because they're working on things themselves, the Broncos are.
There's Hardy. Short jumper in the paint.
And Hardy's a little quicker than Smith, so that's Hardy saw the mismatch and took advantage of it.
Here's K-Job. Akot in front. Nice back cut there. K-Job pump fake, the reverse layup, no. 2 Matadors converging, and neither of them grabs it and knocked out of bounds.
Yeah, that time, though, I do like that James put a body on someone. Smith was able to take that ball and knock it off the Matador hands. But that time, Miles James did a good job of walling up, boxing out, and trying to grab a rebound.
So career high tonight for Dagon Hart, 19 points for him. He's got 4 fouls now, though. Boise State ball. Armouche handling. Trying to drop it down inside for Acott. Deflected by James into the hands of Elijah Hardy for CSUN. Hardy underneath, reverse layup, can't finish.
That was a very tough shot. Hardy that time was in amongst the trees and didn't have anywhere else to go.
Well, I'll tell you what I've been impressed with. That's an offensive foul on Kejab. You know, we saw Kejab a couple of years ago, and he had 33 and 11, and it was kind of back and forth with Lamine Janae. They had a bit of a rivalry going back to their Adidas Nations days. But what I love about Kejab is the maturity he's shown as a player right now, because he knows he's on a good team, and he knows that I need to get my teammates involved. And he's got 9 points tonight, but he does have 4 assists. And I like both he and Acott, kind of how they're playing. Acott's got 6 assists. They're both facilitators. They can both score, but they've both chosen to be facilitators, 10 assists between the two of them.
And when the Matadors got it down to 10 points, it was Kejab who decided, look, I'm going to either get to the free throw line, I'm going to do all the things necessary to get us on the right track again. So that's what a leader will do. Tonight, I don't have to score. You guys scored. I'll attack when I have the advantage, but I'm not going to force anything. I'm just going to make my teammates better, and that's a good leader.
Yeah, he's the leading scorer on their team coming into the game. And, you know, that was the one weird thing when you looked at their offensive struggles. You know, they have pretty much everybody back. You know, Derek Alston Jr., he's playing in the G League, I believe now. He's drafted in the NBA draft. Or I don't, maybe he wasn't drafted. I know he's with the G League team now, but he's playing professionally. And they had really their top rotation guys all come back. And you were surprised their offense really, you know, is one guy going to be that much of a difference?
Well, they lost Jessup, a really good three-point shooter.
They did, you're right, that's true.
Jessup was a big help for them.
65-38, the Broncos on top of the Matadors. Right into the paint. Right, strong move, can't finish. Ball chased down in the corner by Marcus Shavers Jr. Shaver over to Najee Smith. Here's Acott.
I'm actually surprised that Coach Rice still has basically his starters in. I mean, I would think that he would maybe empty his bench now.
Smith for 3.
No, maybe he just wants his starters to get just a little bit more action, and he'll empty it maybe at about the 3-minute mark.
Well, they got 3 games coming up in the next, starting on December 10th. They got 3 games in 9 days at home. So maybe he knows they're going to get a couple days off, so, you know, they have time to rest as Wright takes it down the baseline. And he draws the foul underneath. Leon Rice knows what he's doing. 12th year at Boise State, 221 wins. Was an assistant previously under Mark Few at Gonzaga. Took the position on the staff with Mark Few after Dan Munson left to take the head coaching job at Minnesota. Coach Munson obviously now in the Big West with Long Beach State.
Coach Munson has a very talented team, too. They've got some scorers. Their record does not reflect how talented they really are. They play some tough teams. They got a pretty good squad at Long Beach State.
Our first look at Kashan Pryor, the 6'9 sophomore out of Chicago. His dad, Sean, played for Oregon State, played for Eddie Payne back in the late 90s. Was a teammate of Corey Alexander, who played a couple years in the league in the NBA. 68-40, Pryor, deep 3. Off to the right, Miles James, the defensive rebound for CSUN. Here's James trying to elevate, denied at the rim by Najee Smith.
That's pride. That's pride right there. You're up 30 and you still won't give it up. Well, 28, but you still don't give up that dunk. You want to talk about character and toughness and pride.
Shaver off to Smith, and Bean takes it away. Pilfers the entry pass. Here's 3 out of the corner by Atten Wright, short to the left. The rebound to Armouche for Boise State. Under 4 minutes to play in regulation.
Wright's three-point shot has not fallen in a long time. He's struggling from behind the 3.
Offensive foul there. Shaver, I think, was looking to dish that.
He was looking to dish, and I think now the coach is going to empty his bench. He doesn't want his starters to get hurt.
3:46 remain in regulation. Boise State 68, CSUN 40. Get a look at the Miles James dunk tonight at the rim. Matadors down big. Boise State getting healthy tonight here in the San Fernando Valley. Back with more Matadors basketball. The Big West on ESPN+. Matadors basketball from Learfield, presented to you by Dignity Health, Northridge Hospital Medical Center. We're back.
At Dignity Health Northridge Hospital, patients recently participated.
Here's Pryor with a touch. Dagon Hart, the freshman, leads the Boise State Broncos in scoring tonight. Rice for Boise State, trying to get it back to Pryor. Nearly goes back court with it and then turns it over.
Tough turnover. I mean, you can't keep your intensity all the time, so I think that's just a little lack of intensity by the Broncos on that turnover.
Just Pryor's second game this year. Played 5 games last year for Boise State, and then the sophomore out of the Chicago area. Here's Atten Wright to the basket, can't finish. Onya Aisi with the offensive rebound, puts it back up and in.
You know, Wright is trying to get inside, and he's trying to force some things. I like that. I like that he's being aggressive. Not able to get the calls that he'd like, but he at least is being aggressive, attacking the rim.
Pryor out high. Rice to his left. Pryor in the left corner against Darius Bean, 6'9" against 6'3". The turnaround rattles the iron. No, defensive rebound, Bean for CSUN. Up the right side. I'm going to throw out an old head Big West reference pretty soon, AZ. Backdoor cut by James, denied at the rim. I think that was Najee Smith again.
Well, they don't like Mr. Miles James. I don't like that.
Shaver to the bucket, lays it up and in. Strong move by Marcus Shaver Jr.
And that time James tried to block his shot and got hit in the nose. You know, that was a nice move by Miles James, but once he gets to the rim, those long arms of the Broncos keep blocking his shot.
Deldre Carr stops the play. So Kashan Pryor, 6'9" player, prepped at Ann Arbor Pioneers, Chicago, Illinois product. I mentioned his dad played with Oregon State. Reminds me of a guy who played in the 90s in the Big West for Irvine, Jeff Von Lutzow, who played at Charter Oak. And when he and Tracy Murray were in high school, they had a bit of a rivalry. But Von Lutzow was a big kind of 6'9" facing the basket guy back when that was kind of an anomaly. Now that's kind of normal now, the inside-out game. You have 6'9" guys shooting threes all the time. In the mid-90s, you really didn't have that. Jeff Von Lutzow for Coach Rod Baker. So if anybody here was an old Big West guy back in the day, they'll know recognize the comparison. But how about this comparison tonight, Alan? You're pointing out in the second half, Boise State, they've cooled off from the first half. They shot 57%. They're at 50% in the second half. The Matadors exactly even. They shot 8 of 24 in the first half. They're shooting 8 of 24 here in the second half.
That just lets you know that once the Broncos decided it was time to play some defense again, they shut the Matadors down. And the Matadors are playing hard, Ghazal. I really like it. If you're a Matador fan, don't look at the score. Look at your team and see how hard they're fighting and playing. Very, very short-handed, and that's what they're doing. At some point, they'll get some players back, and it'll be better. So you got one experienced team that's playing up to their capabilities, another team that's playing hard, but just doesn't have enough bullets, and they're done.
Yeah, no Darius Brown tonight. We don't know the extent of the injury. He was hurt against Fresno State. And then Christian Gray only played 2 minutes, has not returned since the first half. And obviously Miles Brookins still out as Hardy dribbling out front and draws the foul with under 2 minutes to play here in regulation. 70-44 Boise State. But you know what? Coach Johnson said it in the pregame. Boise State, they're a pretty good team. They were picked 4th in the preseason poll in the Mountain West, and that's a tough top of the conference there with Colorado State, San Diego State, and Nevada, along with Boise State.
Well, I would think that they're going to get at least 3 teams into the tournament. I mean, Mountain West is very, very tough as Hardy misses the free throw. Hardy might be tired. That free throw was way short, and he's a much better free throw shooter than that. But Boise State, you know, since Coach Rice has been there, they're just a solid basketball team that does everything right. They're not shooting the ball well right now, but they're doing pretty good tonight. 5
postseason berths. They last made the NCAA in 2015 as Sam Winter checks in, the sophomore from Montesano, Washington. Here's Pryor down to the baseline against Atten Wright to his left. The runner off the back iron. Defensive rebound by Aisi. 90 seconds to play. Here's Hardy in the lane. Off to Aisi. Aisi to the bucket. Does not finish. Will get free throws as Pryor, I think, caught an elbow in the eye.
I like the fact that Hardy knew what he was going to do. He was going to get in the lane. He was going to get the ball inside to Aisi, and he was going to reward his big man for running the floor. I would love, though, if they could somehow get the ball into the hands of Adden Wright and let Adden Wright score it.
That didn't look fun there. Look, Aisi kind of on the follow-through clubbed Pryor, who shaking it off, and he's going to walk off the floor. Marcel Stevens ready to check in. It was inadvertent.
Yeah, I tell you what, he might have to go to concussion protocol. Where's Steve Gregg? He works for the NFL. You know, he might have to see that was a blow to the head.
So 2 shots coming up for Onye Aisi, again in double figures. 11.6 rebounds for Onye in 23 minutes. So 3 of 4 from the line today. Kalen Rains leaves the game for the Matadors, checking in Marcel Stevens. Stevens, the sophomore, Beverly Hills by way of the Impact Academy in Las Vegas. And Aisi too strong on the first free throw.
Yeah, he had been doing pretty well from the free throw line, and he looks like he's going to maybe be 50% tonight if he's able to hit this one.
They were trying to get Pryor back into the game, and then I think it was Vern Harris did not let him check in. I think he'll have to wait till the free throw is made. Because Kijab had to check back into the game, and the free throw goes down. And so Aisi now the leading scorer for the Matadors with 12 on the night. Darius Bean has 11. Elijah Hardy has 9. But it's been all Boise State tonight. A nice welcome, Tyson Dagon Hart announcing his presence with authority, the freshman with 19 points. Kijab trying to bounce pass through the lane, kicked by Aisi, and they'll get the substitution. Pryor re-enters for Boise State.
You know, for the Matadors, you know, this game is over, but maybe Elijah Uche, I'd like to see him get in the ball game. He's a walk-on for the Matadors. I'd love to, maybe if he could get in, but the coach is not thinking about that now. He's trying to get some activity for the guys who are in the game.
The Broncos all-time against the Matadors, 8-0. Winter pulls the trigger. Fighting for the rebound, Dagon Hart puts it back up and in. He's got 21.
And he took that rebound away from Aisi, and so he's got to feel happy about that.
Hardy to Stevens. The Matadors just playing out the string here. Tough night tonight. No Darius Brown, and then, you know, Boise State kind of came out and blitzed them. The 2 from the right wing, just a step inside the three-point line. The left-handed jumper swishes down for Hardy. He's in double figures with 11 for the Matadors. Pryor to the top of the circle. Kicked away from him, and Dagon Hart handles it. Little give-and-go action with Dagon Hart and Najee Smith trying to get it to Winter. Winter against Stevens. Winter puts it up and in.
There, look how happy the Broncos are for him. That's what I'd like to see for Uche if he were able to get in the ball game.
You'll like Winter. He was also an all-state wide receiver. And Najee Smith slams that one off the backboard with 10 seconds to play, and Boise State will just run it out. 74-48, a dominant performance by the Broncos. And a team that had struggled shooting the ball, they got it right tonight. They won the game against the Matadors. They're now 9-0 all-time against CSUN, AZ.
Yeah, CSUN just does not want to see the Broncos coming. It's almost like when they come, bad news follows them. But Matadors tonight, they were just shorthanded because they were going to play a tough team even if they had all their bullets, so to speak. But tonight, they had 3 bullets in a 6-shooter.
Yeah, tough one without Darius Brown. Obviously, we don't know the extent of it. If you're on the audio side, you'll stay with us for the post game. But as far as the video side, the vision side, 74-48 the final here from the Matadome in Northridge, California. Boise State goes to 5-4. The Matadors fall to 3-5. That is the final tonight. So for Alan Zinsmeister, my name is Ghazal Hassan. We'll talk to you next time. All games airing on the ESPN networks are archived on the ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN.